super stoked for this conversation today. So one of my missions right now is to bring in different people in my life who are experts in their own field, people who can really be able to help unlock your potential, people who can come and share their wisdom to help you live an awesome life, not only to quit gaming, but then, to actually live your life after that. So today I have my buddy Demir with me, and he's the founder of Lifehack Bootcamp. So Demir is a productivity expert. Demir is someone who travels full-time with his wife nomadically, which I love. That's something, I'm super passionate about. And Demir is someone who, when it comes to productivity and actually being able to unleash your potential, being able to actually get things done, he's the guy that I go to. So I'm really excited to have you here today, and welcome, Demir.
Thank you so much. I'm really excited. We've been talking about this for a while. I'm glad it's finally coming to fruition.
Exactly. Yeah, it's a topic that I know for our audience, they struggle with a lot. I know even I struggle with it a lot. And productivity is that game changer in your life, where you might have these ideas, you might have these things that you want to do, but to be able to actually go out and execute them can sometimes be a friction point. And so I know that's a topic that you're really passionate about. But before we get into that, can you just tell us a little bit about your story and kind of where you came from?
Yeah. And I'll even broaden what we do at Lifehack Labs. So Lifehack Labs is the umbrella company. And what we do at Lifehack Labs is we create curriculum for living. And the reason we think about that is, strangely, a lot of us have been through a 4-year college degree, and we're surprisingly ignorant about some basic things like doing our taxes, right? How to get out of debt, how to get things done at work, how to budget and save money. So there's a lot of things in life that we can be surprisingly bad at, including really intelligent people like myself and yourself. And I really could feel that pain point. And so at Lifehack Labs, what we do is create a curriculum for living. And at the very center of that is what we call Lifehack Bootcamp, which is our onboarding bootcamp that shows people how to get more done. And the truth is that some things that are they're foundational to other things. And getting things done and being able to avoid procrastination and just sit down, open your computer, and get an incredible amount of work done is a foundation stone that all of the rest of your life is built on. And so we almost start our programming in Lifehack Labs with Lifehack Bootcamp, because we really think that every single person out there needs to know how to just sit down on the computer and just rock out an incredible workday. So that's what Lifehack Labs is, and that's what Lifehack Bootcamp is sitting underneath that. Just a little bit more about myself. My wife, Carrie, and I co-founded the company. Here's our story in brief. We were both the typical workaholic New York couple, right? I don't know if anybody out there knows the New York lifestyle, but in a little bit of a nutshell, basically what it is a lot of big promise that you're going to be amazing, and you work and work and work like 80 hours a week, and that promise doesn't materialize, and you find yourself 6, 7, 8, 10 years later realizing that you've been working 80 hours a week. So for a lot of people, I'm in the opposite place that they were, where I was an overworker. I derived my self-worth from working, and I worked myself to the bone. So my wife and I, we had this bottom moment where we just realized that we were not creating the life that we wanted to live. We had not taken a vacation in a long time, and we went on a snow ski trip with our friends, and ended up spending the whole time either working or fighting or just like being miserable. And we came back and we just swore to each other. We just said, we've got to get this productivity thing on lock. And so almost like those couples who lose weight together, and they lose like a massive amount of weight together. We were that couple who got productive together, and we took every class, read every book. And the truth of the matter is, even though I don't lack for natural drive, I was really not productive. And some people out there might recognize this, where you work a lot, but then at the end of the day or the end of the week, you look back and you're like, I was working a lot, but I didn't actually get anything done. And that's more my style of work, where I can work a lot and not actually move the ball forward. Send a lot of emails, do some chores and everything, but looking back, I didn't get the right stuff done. And so that tends to be my struggle with productivity. I also have a really bad focus issue. And so when I come to productivity, I come with this really empathetic mindset of somebody who's naturally distracted, who has a hard time moving the ball forward and getting the really important stuff done, and who really didn't have a lot of tactics and strategies. And so when we put together Lifehack Bootcamp, it was really designed for people who are disorganized, designed for people who weren't getting tremendous results. Because I don't think, frankly, those people out there who just get a magical, incredible results, they don't need a program. They don't need an education curriculum. And so we wanted to put something together that was really good for people who needed that.
And I know that when it comes to our audience, the whole addiction conversation is something something very important to me, not only for the community, but that, everyone who I kind of bring in has some degree of experience or knowledge around that subject, because, it's really easy, and we'll get into this a lot more, I'm sure. I feel like all the productivity strategies and advice and tips and tactics and all of that always sounds really good.
Yeah.
But being able to actually implement it is a different story. And when it comes to addiction, I always love the comment where someone says like, well, just moderate. And it's like, dude, the exact criteria of addiction is your inability to moderate. So like, that sounds good. It's idealistic, but they're not actually practical in the experience of it. And so I know that you have a story around how addictions impacted your life.
Yeah. So growing up, my mother had a pretty severe addiction problem that she battled with. And so she was a single mother. So we were really enmeshed in, AA, Al-Anon, the whole 12-step program growing up. And, she was very back and forth, winning, losing around her addiction. And so, we talked about this before, but I bring a tremendous amount of empathy for people who are in the midst of a battle with an addiction. And I don't take it lightly, no matter what the addiction is, right? Mm-hmm. And so for me, I've seen the toll that it's taken on me and my family. I've seen the toll that it takes on people who are trying to, get sober and live their life without an addiction and find life after that addiction. And so I have a personal passion for helping people with that. And it's funny, I actually even help people who have gotten over drug, alcohol addictions get more productive, because one of the things that's interesting about addiction is that the hardest part sometimes isn't getting sober. Sometimes the hardest part is living sober, which means, you've created this new life for yourself without this thing that you craved or wanted. And now you have to not just do it and not just white knuckle it, but actually find something enjoyable and exciting about this new life and make it a life that you really want to live. And that's what we call living sober, not just being sober. And so one of the things I'm really passionate about is showing people that there's so much in their gas tank that they get to unlock. And so that's my mission. And, in one sentence, my mission is I want to show people how to unlock 100% of their potential so they can create the life that they really know that they can live. And I know that every single person out there who might feel like in a really low place right now and struggling, there's so much more in their gas tank. And when they see how much is in their gas tank, then they actually get a little bit of a glimpse at what they can create for their life, all the incredible good stuff they can do.
I love living sober, because I feel like so often when it comes to the conversation around addiction, it's about surviving. And that's not my jam. My jam is like, I want to thrive. I want to overcome this experience in my life and turn it into, fuel for growth, connection, and purpose, and truly go out there and make something awesome happen. And so I know when you talk about being someone who can work a lot of hours and not actually get that much done, I relate to that a lot, because I can put in a lot of hours and then look back on that 12-hour day I put in yesterday on Easter and be like, I got a few things done. I got a couple things off my list that, had been prioritized, but like only 35% of it, and there's so much more opportunity even for me to be more productive. And so why did this become a passion for you? Why was it not just something where, okay, you struggled with it, you went through it with your wife, you guys, mastered it, but why has it now become a passion?
The U.S. I'm trying to think of the agency. I'll try to get it to you later. But one of these U.S. economic agencies has been tracking labor statistics, and one of the things they do is send out surveys about how we feel about our work, not just overall productivity, which we know has been going up, but also how do we feel about our work. And people feel terrible about their work. And one of the most essential things that you can get as a human being is satisfaction from work. I mean, that's the most. If people think that if they had, $1 million or, $100 million, that they would stop working. And the truth is that nobody who gets $100 million stops working, because working is something that we derive so much pleasure from. It brings our life meaning. It helps us move balls forward. It helps us contribute to society. So work is amazing. And it's something that we should all be able to come home at the end of the day and just give ourselves that little nailed it. Right. No matter how hard the day, no matter how difficult, you should be able to come home. Everybody has the right to come home at the end of the day and say, good job, good work. You did great job today, Demir. You might not have gotten everything you wanted. You might have got hit in the face a couple times, but you did a good job. And the worst thing that happens is that people don't. They don't feel like they can do that. They feel like they're constantly behind the ball. They feel overwhelmed. They feel like they're not doing the 20% of their work that gets them 80% of their results. So they don't have a direction. They don't have a plan. And so that robs you of what I think is your God-given right to feel fantastic about a hard day's work.
Mm-hmm.
And I was raised in a very, very traditional family where we had to chop wood. When after I grew up with my mom, I was adopted by another family, and we chopped wood. And there's something just so satisfying about that, because nobody can take that away from you. I mean, I chop the wood, I'm putting it in the stove, it's burning, I'm warm. I mean, and in knowledge work, in this world where we're working on computers, all too often we don't get that tactile feedback. Like, good job, Cam. You did a great job today. And what you're describing about your day yesterday is denying yourself that feeling. Like, damn it. Like, I took a whole day, a holiday off, and I should, at least if I took a holiday, be able to look back and say, you nailed it.
Mm-hmm.
Good work. But I wasn't focused. I didn't operate with leverage, and I didn't have a game plan. And so now here I am, having denied myself a holiday and not really having the satisfaction of really knowing that I nailed it to the wall.
Right. And I know a lot of people watching this they're going to feel like, I get a lot of questions from people who say, like, dude, how do you get so much done? And
Yeah.
I'm even saying, I'm very open. Yesterday was one of those days where I'm like, I mean, I get some things done, but I know there's huge room for improvement. Now, part of why I get so much done is because I have such an immense purpose and passion and clarity on why I'm doing what I'm doing, right? I'm growing this community. I really want to be able to help people. I want to reach those people who need help. And I have my project, right? I know game quitters. I know the different things we need to do. We need to do YouTube videos. And so I have a lot of them. And for a lot of people watching this, they're going to say, I want to be more productive. I want to procrastinate less. I want to get more things done, but I don't even know what I want to get done. I don't even know what my vision is. I don't have any goals. I don't even know where to start. And so what do you say to that?
Let's sort of create a frame for this, right? One of the things I like to do is sometimes when you know something is difficult and somebody tells you it's easy, it pisses you off. Because there's a voice in your head that's like, I know this is difficult. And this guy telling, like, there's books out there on productivity or blogs. Just do these 5 easy steps and you'll be great. Everything will be perfect. And in fact, if you're doing those 5 steps and you're not getting a great result, there must be something wrong with you. You must be doing something wrong. And the truth is, and I'm going to give people a hard truth that I think we all know is true. And in that, there's a satisfaction that we can all acknowledge that together, that life is an unfair fight. Life is a fundamentally unfair fight. And here's what I mean by that, Cam, is that life can come at you from multiple directions, and you can only ever respond one direction at a time. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. So you're always unidirectional, and life is omnidirectional. So you are fundamentally setting up yourself for an unfair fight. And so when you think about how do you win an unfair fight, because unfair fights are winnable, right? And so I call it the 4 T's, and you're going to recognize some of these from the way that you work, right? The first T is you've got to have tactics, right? You think about David and Goliath. David's walking in, puny guy, huge, muscled, opponent, right? That's the definition of how we feel about life, right? Like that life is just whipping our butt, like left and right when it comes to productivity. David had a plan, a game plan. You don't just walk in with Goliath and say, oh, let's improvise and see what happens. You know what's going to happen. You're going to get your ass kicked, right? And so the first thing you have to have is you have to have a superior plan for how you're going to actually win this battle. David's happened to be, hey, listen, there's one chink in this guy's armor, and he's not wearing a helmet, right? So he had a plan. He didn't really, we'll take it step by step. The second thing is technology, right? David had a sling. He just happened to have the one piece of technology that could allow him to stand very far away from his opponent and yet do a lot of damage, right? So technology. Now, if you and I, the third one is technique. If you or I went into the ring, even if we had the right tactics, so we had a plan, we knew exactly where we had to hit Goliath, and we had, a slingshot with a couple stones, do you think without any practice you could hit Goliath between the, eyes hard enough?
Definitely not.
Right. I mean, I can say definitely not. So we know that it's not enough to have the right tactics and the right technology. We also have the right technique. You need to practice. You need to make this something that you can do automatically and powerfully, right? And the last one is the one you mentioned, which is truth. David was so connected to why he needed to beat Goliath, right? He was a soldier of God. It was God's will that he do that. And you know, we talk a lot about God. We're not a very religious society these days, but the truth is that I believe very, very deeply in my mission. You believe very, very deeply in your mission. And you don't want to compete against people who believe, right? Because people who believe will fight harder. They establish more grit. They work harder, longer hours. They've got more mission alignment. They are clearer about what's important. They say no. They say yes to more powerful things. So people who are connected to their truth are always going to operate more powerfully and always be harder to compete against, right? So again, just one more time for people who might be sketching it down. You've got to have the right tactics, a plan. You've got to have the right technology, right? The right tools that you're using. You got to be trained in that technology and tools so that you have the right technique. And then you got to have a connection to that truth. So just to frame our conversation today, I always talk about the 4 T's are the way that you can actually win an unfair fight. And I'll bet there's a lot of people out there today that could probably nodding their head and saying, yeah, that's how life feels to me. Feels like when I'm putting work forth, I'm not getting the result that I want, or I'm getting overwhelmed or overloaded, or life is hitting me from multiple directions and I've got too many people expecting too much from me. And for me and you to come out here and say, oh, you're not getting it right, or no, you're not doing the 5 easy steps. No, it's, if you're out there thinking that life is kicking you around a lot, yes, life is fundamentally an unfair fight, right? And so to win it, we need to have superior tactics, technique, technology, and truth.
And so in that frame where life is an unfair fight, how do you maintain your desire to compete and not become a victim and just kind of sulk and, oh, life is unfair, poor me?
Yeah, I mean, that's, you know, that's truth right there. That's truth, right? What's your truth? Because if you don't have truth, then you're Goliath, not David, right? Then no amount of weapons and armor and strength is going to, some small guy is going to come in and take you down, right? Because truth is what I think binds the whole ingredients together, right? Now everybody here probably knows your truth, Cam, but do you want to repeat it for people, the thing that you get up out of bed in the morning to do?
For us, it's reaching 10 million people through Game Quitters in the next 3 years. That's my single focus.
Yeah. And for me, my truth is what sort of seems askew in the world is that I look at people walking down the street and I realize, man, these people are at 10, 20, 30% of what they could do. What could happen if we took people from 10, 20, 30% of their potential all the way up to 80, 90, 100% of their potential? What could happen in the Game Quitters like community if you took everybody in Game Quitters who's feeling very victimized, feeling in a place where life is happening to them, they're not happening to life, and we could elevate those people up to 80, 90, 100% of what they can do? I think every single person here, even people who might not be connected to their truth yet, they intrinsically know that they're capable of a lot more than they're doing.
Right.
And so that's our mission. That's what gets me up out of bed every single morning, is that I think, imagine that I work with 1,000, 100,000, 1,000,000 people, 1,000,000,000 people doing this work. I think that creates a better planet, better families. People get to live their life the way they want to live it, right? So that's what gets me up out of bed. And so that's my truth, and that's your truth.
Now that we have the frame for this conversation, the 4 T's, which I love, by the way, because looking at that, you know, you can have the tactics, but if you don't have the truth, then you're not going to have the motivation. If you have the truth, but you don't have the tactics, it's going to be really hard. You can have both of those, but not have the training, and now it's not going to matter anyways. And so those 4 T's, I think, is a really important frame, and I love them. So now what's next? Someone watching this is like, okay, great. I understand the 4 T's. I still have no idea how to apply them to my life. So what's the next step?
So one of the things that I wanted to introduce was this concept of what we call a roadmap or a leverage ladder. And so we're going to offer it as a download at somewhere. I think you're going to put it as a link in the download. And so I'm going to give you guys sort of a template that I use myself. I mean, I have a version of this that I wake up every day. And one of the things that I want to show you in the community is how with just an 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper, you can very easily map up where you want to be and cut that down into manageable chunks and milestones so that you have this sense of traction. Kim, one of the things that I notice so much with people who are just getting started with their productivity and feel overwhelmed and don't know where to start is they don't have, that buried treasure map, the little dotted line that leads to the buried treasure. You need to create that for yourself. And a lot of times in gaming, it's given to us, right? That it's sort of given to us. But the truth is that when we get to a different life where we're actually mapping out our own game, we're playing our own game, we need to create that dotted line. And it doesn't need to be, oh, I'm going to create the next Facebook and be Mark Zuckerberg, because a lot of times when we give ourselves too big of a goal, we're almost weighing ourselves down. For a lot of people, it could be as simple as getting that first job, that next promotion. It could be as simple as getting a safety net in terms of their finances. It could be as simple as buying their first home, right? It doesn't have to be some big outsized flying on a jet with Richard Branson goal. It just has to be something that you really want, that's really going to move you forward, right? And so if I'm here now, and let's just say that, I don't like my job and I want to get a new job, right? And so, the funny thing about life, Cam, is that if we ask for what we want, we don't always get it. But when we don't ask, we never get it 100% of the time, right? When you don't get clear with life and say, I want a job that has better pay than this job. I want it to have a better community, and I want it to be aligned with my mission, which is, helping animals, right? Whatever it might be, helping individuals, helping the poor, or whatever your truth is, right? If you don't ask life for that, you will never get it. Now, when you ask, the truth is you don't always get it, but you'll never get it if you don't ask. And so what I like to have people do first and foremost, and what's part of this priority list, is I start at the end. Let's flip it upside down. Don't talk to me about what you need to do tomorrow or this week or this month. Let's ask, why are we even doing that stuff? Is it even necessary to do those things? Let's start at the end and flip it upside down and say, in a year from now, where do you want to be? That would be exciting. And that last couple words, Cam, is so important. Not just where do you want to be? Because a lot of times when I ask my clients that and I say, where do you want to be? And they open their mouth, it's their mother talking. It's their father talking. It's their girlfriend talking. What those people want from you. The problem is, Cam, what you think your mother wants from you is not going to inspire you to be more productive, to operate at your highest level. So a lot of times I have to work with my clients and they have to do some self-work to understand, hey, when I open my mouth and I say, oh, I want to have a job and I want to save some money and get out of debt, is that me talking? Or is that my girlfriend or my mother or my father or my boss? Because a lot of times we're just parroting those expectations back. But once we actually open our mouth and say what we want, what we truly want, what we've been afraid to admit ourselves that we want, all of a sudden I can tell you, Cam, how you know it. Because the hair on the back of your neck tingles. You get like a little sort of scary feeling, right? That's how you know that that's your 12-month goal, because it almost, you could have it if you work hard, and it scares you a little bit, but excites you too.
Yeah. And I know that, for me, one of those examples was when I wanted to move to the US. And it was this conversation I was having with myself for like 4 months, being like, do I want to do it? Do I not? Do I want to do it? Do I not? And there was a moment, I'll never forget it. I was in I think my kitchen of my place. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to move to the US. And I got so excited. Like my whole body initially was so excited. And then the next second I was like, oh, fuck, no, I'm not moving to the US. But in that moment, I was able to decipher the excitement was my genuine truth. And fear was what was coming up after that.
Yeah.
And so I thought, okay, what am I afraid of? And I thought, what if I fail? What if I move to the US and it doesn't work out? And I just looked at it and I said, then I'll just move back here. Right? Like I literally have no risk of going to the US, trying this out. I know it's my truth. I know it's what I want to do. And if it doesn't work out, that's okay. Now, people might be watching saying, move to the US, like that's not that hard. Well, let me tell you, moving to the US for me was far more difficult than you probably think. I had to get a US visa. That took me 8 months of sitting down, doing a massive 100-page project, a huge financial model, all these things I had no idea how to do. And in order to get them done, my dad sat on the phone with me for an hour every day and we did it together. And that shit took me 8 months, right? It was like, it was a long process. There were all these different things. but I knew that it was my truth. And because of that, that allowed me to have the leverage to be able to start moving forward and know that, I'm not going to be able to avoid doing the US visa. I'm going to have to get it at some point. But deciphering between what my truth is and what my fear is really important.
Fear could be, but oh, go ahead, please.
No, I was going to say, I'll let you jam on that. And then I have 2 follow-ups after that.
No problem. No problem. Fear is not so bad. A lot of people say, oh, go with your gut. I don't know. Your gut, a lot of our guts, if we go with it, it's telling us like, I don't know about your gut. My gut is telling me to go downstairs and eat a bunch of food that's going to make me fat.
Yeah, I want to lay down right now. I'm on this couch.
Yeah, I mean,
I can just lay down.
I've made a lot of bad decisions going with my gut. The truth of the matter is sometimes when you ask yourself what you're afraid of, that can be a better question, right? So for a lot of people who are out there looking for that truth, right, and looking for that 12-month goal that really lights them on fire, I can't tell you how many clients I ask, oh, what lights you on fire? And they say, I don't know. Well, what are you excited about? I don't know. And then I flip it. What are you afraid of? What terrifies you? What scares you? And a lot of times that's a good place to start, because the truth is there's a razor thin line between excitement and fear. Anybody who parachutes can tell you that. There's the things that we're afraid of are also the things that are going to drive us forward and invigorate us. And a lot of times your psychology knows that. And so we've created walls, right? And so we're not really connected to what we want. So anyways, just breaking this down, we're talking about the 4 T's. We're really in this call cracking off the first T, which is tactics. You got to have, where am I going to go and what are the steps to get there? It's really that simple. And you can do it on an 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper. And I've given you a format, a template that you guys can use and download. So at the very top of that, a good self homework to do is take, 30 minutes while you're procrastinating doing something more important and write out a little bit. What would excite me in 12 months? And try to get yourself to a sentence that scares and excites you. And if you can't get excitement, go for scare. And if you get too much scare, go back to excitement, right? But get a nice balance, a nice middle place where you're equally scared and excited, because that's going to be the place where you're like, this is really what I want. But then, of course, one of the things you told me that you've just been hanging out with Preston Smiles. And Preston and Alexi, they gave a speech recently, and they said something really interesting in it. They said, when you're making decisions, you want to come from an empowered place. Because too often in personal development, we tell somebody, oh, do you want to be a pilot? Great. Quit your job, get in a plane and start flying tomorrow. Well, that's a good recipe for being broke and dead, right? So we need to really, be adults about it. And being an adult and living in an adult world, and the game that we're playing now, means making empowered choices. So what's the difference between making a choice and an empowered choice? Well, the difference between making a choice and an empowered choice is that you're actually laying the foundation and the groundwork to get what you want sustainably and without negative consequences, right? And so in the priority list, at the very top, we put this definite chief aim, which is, this is what I definitely want in 12 months. And then you start to break it down into, okay, if that's where I want to be in 12 months, where do I need to be in 6 months to be on pace to that goal? Very simple. Just one sentence, not a paragraph, not a whole bullet list, just one sentence. So if in 12 months I want to have a job, where I know that I'm rescuing kittens, I'm just going to be cute about this, right? I know that in 12 months, I want to have a job that pays better than my job now, and I'm rescuing kittens, and I'm working with incredible team people that I love, right? So, okay, great. Well, where do I need to be in the next 6 months? Well, in the next 6 months, I should absolutely be there, right? I should be in that job working, right? All right, well, now let me break it down to 3 months. All right, well, if I want to get that job in 6 months, then the next 3 months, I should have done 10 interviews, right? And then break it down to 1 month. Okay, well, what do I need to do in the next month to be on the road to 10 interviews? Well, then I need to be, if I want to talk to 10 people, I better apply to 100 jobs, right? And so there's always a way that you can take a big goal, like having a job with qualitative elements, and you can break it down to small pieces that you can actually start to attack. So let me give you an example. If I need to talk to 100 people this month, well, this week, that means I need to talk to 20, right? If I need to talk to 20 people this week, it means today I got to get 5 out. 5 isn't that much. When you take big goals and you break them down and you realize I need to get out the word to 5 people today. That is a really manageable small chunk that most people can handle, right? And so that in every single moment that what we call your most leveraged task is, right? When you have a battle plan, you always know what the most crucial elements are and what we call triage. Triage is when you're willing to take, in chess, you're willing to sacrifice a pawn in order to get your rook moving forward. And
Right.
so in life, we're always in this process of triage where we have to sacrifice smaller, less important things for the big stuff. But if you don't know what the big stuff is, if you don't have that treasure map, if you're not lined up where you know exactly what you need to do to get your outcome, then you don't know what you're sacrificing.
Right.
And you end up, keeping all of your pawns and none of your rooks.
Right. Exactly. And that's where you begin to just procrastinate, right? Because you don't even know what those first steps are. And so instead, you just watch Netflix or watch YouTube or go play video games or just do nothing, right? And we see that.
And I can't blame you.
Right. And we see
I would
so
too.
much in our community, right? Where it's, you might have quit gaming, but you're just watching TV, you're just watching YouTube, you're just watching Netflix. And that's not the point of all of this. The point is to quit and then really start channeling your talents in a different direction. So I know that one of the kind of obstacles that people are going to feel is like, well, I've already wasted so much time in my life. I've already, like I'm already too late. The jobs are already gone. I'm too far behind. And so I know that for you, that loss of time is something that you're really passionate about speaking to.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's nothing more powerful. In our boot camp that we teach people, we teach them the self-sabotage cycle. And we actually help them break down the voices in their head that are actively working to sabotage them. And you might ask yourself, why is God so cruel that he would put this whole chorus of voices into my head that are seemingly hell-bent on me compromising myself, not doing the things that I want to do to move my life forward, and going back and revisiting addictions or negative things in my life, whether it's drugs or addiction or people that I shouldn't be around. And the truth is that, I won't go too deep into this, but the truth is that we are essentially fear-based creatures, and fear kept us alive for millions, hundreds and hundreds of millions of years. Fear was the number one thing that kept us alive. The problem is, as we've become these more evolved, front-brained creatures, that fear has metastasized into its own characters, its own cast of characters. We call it the itty bitty shitty committee. And the itty bitty shitty committee is that chorus of voices that's saying, oh, what the hell? There's no point in doing it anyways. I've already lost 10 years. My friend from high school is already a doctor. Well, okay, game over then, right? I might as well just not do anything. And so that's a voice from your itty bitty shitty committee, guaranteed, right? Because what's the committee is designed to do to get you to do one thing, which is to give you a back door so that you can step away and not have accountability and step into accountability. Because once we step into accountability, we're on the hook, we're responsible for something, and we have something to lose. But when we're in a victim mode, and when we allow the itty bitty shitty committee to convince us that there's not enough time, that we don't have enough resources, then we're always in a victim place. So let me tell you a quick story. My mom, who was an addict, she was an addict for almost 15 years on the streets. For a long time, when we got adopted, we felt like we hadn't heard from her. So everybody felt like she was dead. I mean, literally, it was, we didn't have a funeral or anything, but it was almost like we had mourned her because she sort of disappeared into her, drug and alcohol addiction and stopped calling. And we just figured, nobody can live through that many years of addiction. I mean, many, many years of addiction. And the lifestyle usually kills you. And so all of a sudden we heard from her one day. She called up, she recovered. She was in, junior college. I'll make this the short version of the story. She finished junior college. She went on to 4-year degree. She got her master's degree. Today, she runs one of the largest treatment centers for drug and alcohol addicts recovering in the state of Hawaii. She started all of that from 41 years old in jail. She got sober in jail with a felony record, right? So a lot of you guys out there who are thinking, oh, well, it's too late for me. Believe me, there's no way you can say that to me. Say it to yourself, say it to your friends. You can't say it to me. I have a person in my life that makes me look shameful. Whenever I'm thinking, I don't have enough time, or I don't have enough resources, I always think about the fact that my mom was 41 years old. She'd lost her children. She had a felony record, and she had nothing going for her, nobody to support her. And she was able to build herself up into one of the most successful entrepreneurs in the healthcare system in Hawaii. And she did that all with one thing. And that was just a truth, just a very clear truth. And that truth for her in that moment was, she looked at herself in that moment. And I'm relating this from her. She looked at herself in that moment and said, I'm not doing it for anybody else. I'm only doing it for me, because everybody thinks I'm dead, right? Everybody's written me off. Everybody thinks I'm dead. So I either better go get busy dying, or I better do something for me. And ironically, getting selfish was the best thing that ever happened to her.
Mm-hmm.
So, deciding that she was going to put away all the expectations about being a failed mother or failed daughter or failed sister, because she really had failed at everything in her life. But she just decided to put that all to the side, all of the expectations that people had put on her, and just said, you know what? I better get busy living or get busy dying. If we're going to live, I better live for me and what I want to do.
Exactly. And there's so many people who are watching this who are going to say, well, I just don't care. I'm apathetic. I don't care about these goals, but secretly I'll call you out because I know that you do care. You're just
Yeah.
pretending that you don't because you're scared or you don't feel necessarily capable or you're living in shame. And for me in my life, there was a point where I was very good at self-destruction. In fact, I am world class at self-destruction. I can smoke pot all day long and play video games all day and deceive my family and pretend to have jobs and do all the crazy things that I did just to self-destruct because I was living my life from a place of apathy. Now, what's interesting is that the only difference really in my life now is that I'm channeling all of those talents in the direction of having a vision and behind my truth and really being able to say, what are some of my goals and how can I get there? Now, in this moment, it's very easy to say, well, that's great, Cam, but you already have all these things. But this is where I was starting from. I had no friends. I was super depressed. I had just written a suicide note. I was too scared to audition for Big Brother, which was like one of my biggest goals of all time, because I was scared that if they turned me down, that would hit my ego so hard that I would never recover from it. So I never accomplished any of my goals, even though I wanted to go skydiving. I wanted to speak at TEDx. I wanted to have a successful business that gave me the freedom and flexibility to travel all over the world. I wanted to have a great group of friends who actually cared about me. I wanted a girlfriend. I wanted all these different things secretly, but I was masking it behind all the numbing I was doing to self-destruct. And what changed in my life was first committing that if I wasn't going to end my life, then I had to live my life to the fullest. And in order to do that, I had to actually start thinking about what are my goals. The only goal I knew at the time was I wanted to speak at TEDx. That was like some vague random goal I had. I did it. I spoke at TEDx. That all happened because I actually just applied for it, right? I literally just typed in an application on the website and said, I want to speak. Here's what I would talk about. And by some crazy coincidence, I managed to get picked. Now, I had never spoken on stage before. There were 2,300 people in the audience. It was scary. And it was the point of no return. I had to do it. But what was powerful was after TEDx, I thought, holy shit, I had a goal. I did whatever it took kind of to apply and do it. What other goals do I have? And there were two I had for over 7 years that I had not gone after. Number one, I wanted to go skydiving. And so literally 2 days after TEDx, I got on a plane and I backflipped out of that plane and I went skydiving and it was awesome. And 11 days later, I got on a plane to fly to Europe, where I traveled for 2 months, 11 countries all over Europe and did that. And for 7 years, those were two of my biggest goals that I knew I wanted, but I just never bothered to call the skydiving company and say, hey, when can I come? Or to book a ticket to Europe. I had the money. I had all of it. I just didn't do it because I was coming from life from a place of fear. And so a big part of what we talk about is how can you channel your talents, all your talents, your hard work, your focus, your discipline, your resourcefulness that you apply to gaming and self-destruction into your life.
Or Kim, can I just throw something in here? For those people who are genuinely stuck in a place of like, yeah, but I'm apathetic, or I feel like if you find yourself saying the word because a lot, well, I can't because, or I'm this way because, it means you're in a victim place. I would say hurry up and hit bottom. Hurry up. A lot of us hold on to where we're at, even though we're in a shitty place. And we hold on to it because we think if we hit bottom, something bad's going to happen. Actually, everything good could start to happen. Because it's only when I've worked with people who've been into gaming. I've worked with a lot of people who've had alcohol and drug addictions. And it's only when they hit that moment when they say, F this. No, it's not going down like this. I'm not going to go down like this. This isn't going to be my legacy. This isn't who I am. I don't like this anymore. It's not working for anymore. That's when I can really work with people. But until that moment, when you're holding on, a lot of people are one notch down from hitting bottom. They're just holding themselves one notch above bottom. And I say, let go. Let go and hit bottom. Because at bottom, you will realize this doesn't work for you. At bottom, you'll realize that there's something better. At bottom, you will find that drive and that inspiration. You know, a lot of times when people are depressed, they'll say, you know, get him in a fight. Get a fight with him. Get him angry, right? Because that anger and that frustration and that just, I'm done with it. I'm sick of this, right? That is actually fuel that you can use to restart your life and get your life plugged in. So the one thing I would say, just to add on to you, Cam, is if you're 1 or 2 notches above bottom, you know, and I'm not saying if you're feeling like doing anything destructive to yourself or destructive to somebody else, but I'm talking about for those people, the majority of people who are just feeling like you've been in a stuck place and just holding on with both hands. You know, sometimes it's like, let go. Let go and hit that bottom. See what your life has become. Look at it. Get angry. Get mad. Get sick of it. Get fed up, because that's going to be that power source that we're going to use to rebuild something great.
Exactly. And I'm a firm believer in, like, yo, you can be as apathetic as you want, but look at your life. And if it's not what you want, then there is something that you do want, and you're maybe just not allowing yourself to actually see it. And so start journaling. What do you want your dating life to look like? What kind of job do you want? How much money do you want to be making? You know, what do you want your friend circle to look like? You know, for me this morning, I went surfing with Preston Smiles and Adam Roa and these people in my life who are amazing mentors and truly powerful people. But that's because I made a choice that I wanted to be surrounded by people like that, instead of my best friend growing up who tried to set me up to get jumped just so he could earn $100. Now, that's where I'm coming from, right? So if you're someone who's watching this and you're saying, well, I don't really care, I think it's bullshit, I think you do care. And the sooner you allow yourself to feel that, even if that feeling is anger and frustration and you're so fucking over it, good, because you can use that to channel it into this new chapter of your life. And so I know that, you know, one thing we've talked about before is using the talents that we have in gaming to be able to channel them into being productive and getting things done and truly living the life that we want. And so, you know, what do you think some of those are?
Well, so here's what's really fascinating about gamers is that gamers have everything, all the core skills that you need to be an amazingly productive person, right? And so what is that? Just to be clear about what I'm talking about, right? Gamers are absolutely tenacious, right? So one of the key things that you need in this knowledge economy is you need to be tenacious. You need to be a problem solver. You need to use your head. You need to be able to multitask and understand multiple things are coming at you, what's important, right? You need to be able to be persistent, right? And nowhere more are those qualities more present than gamers. Right. There's only a few things that are missing, a few things that get plugged in. One is that the game is coming at you, is being given you. You're not determining the game. Right. And so you're operating in a risk-free environment because you know you can die a million times and eventually you are going to beat the boss, right? And there's that faith. And one of the things that Angela Duckworth, in her incredible book about grit, she calls it, it's titled Grit. She talks about grit being the intersections between interest, purpose, passion, and faith. And when she says faith, she doesn't mean faith in God. She means faith in yourself. Like, for example, when I hit big problems in my business, I have no idea how to solve them. But I've got this irrational expectation that I am going to solve it, right? And that's what really gritty people have. They don't have a job, but they have this expectation. I'm going to get one. You know, I am going to get one. This is a solvable problem by me, and I'm just as good as anybody else to solve it. So I'd like to introduce this sort of like what I call like a virus into people's brain here, something that's going to grow in their brain, like a positive little virus, a viral idea, which is that actually there's a really easy path to success. Right. And by easy, I don't mean easy in terms of the amount of effort. I mean, what people are out there are listening to is they want to know that, Demir, if I put the effort forth, am I going to get the result? And absolutely. And it's what Seth Godin, marketing guru Seth Godin, calls the long cut. Everybody in life, the entire world is crowded into one window that they're trying to get through. And it's called the shortcut window. Everybody's trying to get into the shortcut window. And because of that, nobody's getting through that. It's just they're all like backed up. And over here is there's a wide open garage door. It's called the long cut, which is where you actually do harder work than other people. You are more productive. You get better work done. You're more focused, right? And so our focus is, you know, if you're out there and you're like my mom, you're 41 years old, you got nothing to show for it, and you're starting from scratch. I'll tell you what my mom's secret to success was. She took the long cut. She did the hard work, right? She did it for herself, and she found a selfish reason to take the long cut, right? Because nobody's competing in the long cut. You're all by yourself. It's an open path. You get to just walk down there. And what I like to do, and what I have fun doing, and what's my passion to do, is show people that the long cut is rewarding. It's fun. It's a blast, because when you're taking the long cut, you're the services you're giving to your client are 10 times better than the services anybody else is. That when you compare it against any other employee, you're by far and away the best employee. And all of the tools that the best employees and the best contractors and the best business people are giving, it's all a very simple recipe. And that's what I like to show people in my education and what I teach people is that productivity is not Nobel Prize winning science. I wish I could say it is, because that would make me seem more smart, right? But the truth is that we know that productivity is just the tools, tactics, technique, and truth mixed together in a recipe that people can really absorb and understand.
Right.
It really isn't rocket science.
Right.
Being productive and getting great work done.
And it's incredibly important. If you have a goal and you're not willing to be productive, like, the reason that Game Quitters is where it is because I work my ass off, and I'm certainly never always super productive, but I am productive in certain respects and constant improvement. You know, today I was out on the water with Preston, and he's trying to teach me how to duck dive, because, you know, for me to paddle out to the waves, if I can't dive under them, it takes so much effort, like literally so much effort. And today he was showing me how, and there was one time where, you know, I went to do it and totally failed, and like the wave kind of took me and threw me around. And I got up and I looked at him and I said, I will have constant improvement though. And I knew that for a fact, if he keeps, you know, the next time he sees me, the time after that, in a few months, in a year, I will improve at that technique, because I know I will keep trying. And at the office here, the ping pong players have learned that. My one buddy's beat me 30 times in a row. But I kept telling him I will improve. And now, you know, it's like we go into overtime every game, and I beat him in games of 3 and stuff, because I will continue to compete. I will continue to try and hack away at it until I'm there. And so that's, you know, a lot of it's from the book, The Slight Edge, which I believe you may also be a fan of. But a lot of people in our community are a big fan of, is just that constant improvement. And adding that to your productivity is so crucial, because as your productivity gains happen, they compound over time, right? And that's where it's not just initially getting maybe a job and improving your social circle, but then really looking at what kind of business do you want? Do you want to be able to travel full time and work from anywhere in the world? What do you really want your life to look like? And that's possible if you're willing to work for it, and you're willing to do the trainings and these different things that will help shortcut your ability to learn those things.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, what I love about productivity, what geeks me out about productivity is it's the master skill. It's the skill that's underneath all other skills. And so a lot of people say, oh, you know, if I just go back to 4-year college and I get this other degree, then I'll be ready to go into the workforce. Maybe, probably not. Probably you can start right away. Right. And probably what you need to work on is the ability to manage multiple things coming at you and decide what's the most important. To take any chunk of time, whether it's an hour or 15 minutes, and make the most of that and get the most productivity in there. To set up great habits in the morning and in the evening that get you started in finishing work, right? To be able to, you know, create these what I call priority lists, to be able to take everything, line it up, and figure what's the most important stuff that gets me the furthest towards my goal. All the way down to email, how to manage email and efficiently write emails, right? And so all of these skills are these fundamental foundational skills. And if you're good at that, I don't care if you have the master's degree or you don't, people recognize it. Your clients recognize it. Your bosses recognize it. The people in your personal life recognize it. When you can actually just sit down and get shit done, then that is the super skill. And that's why I geek out about productivity, because productivity to me is almost a Trojan horse for personal development. And what I mean by that is you've got so many people out in the world saying, Cam, if you just want it, just visualize it and manifest it, and then you can have it. And the truth is, that plus a whole lot of freaking work, right? And so that, you know, I feel like productivity is that magic ingredient that you can add. Sure, you need to visualize it. Yes, you need to ask God or the universe for what you want. Otherwise, you're never going to get it. But also, you need to add in a ton of effective, impactful work. And I feel like when somebody can just get up every day, open their laptop, rock out an incredible work day, no matter what happened on the day, whether you got your goal or you didn't, you always get that little +1 where you get to say, good job, man. You nailed it.
So to recap, we got the 4 T's. We got the priority list, which you guys will see the link to download that. That, regardless of anything else, take that and run with it. Right?
Yes, please.
Because the purpose of this conversation is to give you guys some more tools to help you understand the mindset game, to understand how, regardless of where this goes, you're able to take the information from this conversation and apply it to your life. And if you do that, message me in a month, message me in a couple of weeks, message me in 6 months, a year, whatever amount of time, and tell me how it's gone. Because I imagine if you take the ideas we've shared here today and apply them to your life, you're going to improve your productivity immensely. Now, there's also something, is there any amount of kind of recap, that anything you want to kind of go over before we move on?
Yeah, I would just say that, people ask me, Demir, what's your number one tool in your life hacking and your productivity? And I tell them it's this 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper. And they're like, no, but really, man, what's your real tool? What's really your most impactful tool? And I'm like, no, for real, man, that is my most impactful tool. Every single day, I don't just open email and start the day. I never just open my email and just start working. I always ask myself at the beginning of the day, I look at my priority list, I look at where I'm going, all the steps I got to do to get there, and then I roll all the way down to what I've got to do today and even in my next Pomodoro. I know you guys are into Pomodoros. So that I know that I'm always doing the most leveraged, important work that's going to close the most distance between me and my gap. And if there's one superpower that I have that I can just give to you right now, just give it to you, it's that. It's that it's not more complicated than a sheet of paper. And if you are always asking yourself, is the next thing I'm doing closing the most distance that I can close to where I need to be today, this week, this month, 3 months, 6 months, 1 year, to where I want to be, then you are going to get there extremely fast, 3, 4, 5 times as fast as the competition. So, a lot of people look to a phone app or a computer app as like their productivity Bible. I'm giving you my productivity Bible. And I swear to you, every day with my cup of coffee, this is what I do. This is the work that I do every day. And I would say if I had to give up everything in my productivity tool belt, the last thing I would give up was my priority list. That is my buried treasure. That's my treasure map to the buried treasure.
So you guys can download that, and I highly recommend it. And the reason why you guys are seeing that I'm bringing on a lot more guests, experts, going into different topics, whether it's productivity or health or finance or business. And the reason for that is because as the start of this conversation happened, we talked about we want to live sober and we want to thrive. We want a thriving life. We want to quit gaming and truly actually step out there and create something epic. When I hear stories from people who, one of our members just got his dream job at Apple. Another member just went backpacking across China. Another member has quit his job and started his own business. When I hear those stories, those to me are so awesome and so epic, because that's the whole point of this, right? It's not just to quit gaming. Gaming is step one. It's necessary, but after that, it's welcome to the rest of your life. And so I really wanted to bring Demir on to talk about productivity. Now, I know that you have a boot camp coming up June 4th. June 4th,
yeah.
And so what's the boot camp all about, and how can people kind of learn some more?
Yeah, absolutely. So what we do with Lifehack Bootcamp is a 60-day productivity coaching program that combines personal accountability with daily practice to unleash your best productivity every single day. So this is an intensive coaching program that works for people even if they suffer from extreme procrastination and avoidance, even if they suffer from work-related physical or mental health issues, if they have a difficult boss or a work culture or client expectations, for people who feel behind, like they can't catch up, they need that secret sauce. It works for people who are really so busy they're not even sure they have time to take the program, and so many more people. I know a lot of people have tried a lot of things, and some people can feel like they tried everything, but this program is really unique and the results are guaranteed. And I'll tell you more about that in a second. But first, I just want to communicate what Lifehack Bootcamp is not. because I think one of the most absurd things in the world is when people go on and they say, yeah, buy my book, it's for everybody. Take my program, it's for everybody. And so I just want to disabuse people of that notion. You know, this is not a fad productivity plan or a 4 easy steps plan or some kind of swallow this magic pill type of solution, because we all sort of know that's not possible. And I'm not going to stand here and try to sell you that there's a magic blue button you can just press. Like, become
If
your
anybody
best self.
finds that, can you
Yeah.
please let me know?
Please, by the way, let me know. Yeah.
I need it yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, because we've been lied to enough, right? And, you know, common sense tells us that being the best version of ourselves takes an investment of time. And it turns out that it's 60 days to be exact.
Mm-hmm.
And we've been doing this for a long time. We've been with people for years. We've worked with people for as little as 1 week. And we found that when we take them through this 60-day program, that is exactly what they need to be able to completely transform who they think they are from terms of productivity. So we've taken people who've said, oh, I can't do stuff, I'm a procrastinator, to being incredibly on the ball. We've taken people who've suffered from anxiety around work and fear and overwhelm. We've taken them to a powerful place where they're on offense, not just on defense, right? Mm-hmm. And this is definitely not, 10 hours a week program. This is actually just 30 minutes a day that we ask people to invest in transforming their productivity and turning themselves into really a next generation version of themselves. So it's carefully engineered and road tested coaching experience. And I'd say it's about the result of 10 years of study, really analyzing the most successful people alive, taking the techniques that we see that work, testing those, whatever doesn't work, throwing that away, doubling down on stuff that does work, and making sure that we can actually replicate the results that amazing people achieve in average people. And I'd say if there's anything that we're all about, it's turning average people into amazing, right? And it's really, as well as looking at the reasons that people try and fail to get more productive. That's a big thing that we look into. And so we really want to create a solution that fits into the schedule of extremely difficult people who have really suffered, people who have really struggled. And so really what we want is for their success to be your success too. And that's what we do for clients, is we try to analyze those success patterns and duplicate them so that you can really get the freedom to have a productivity system that not only gets you back on offense, not only destroys those feelings of overwhelm in your life, but really finally reveals the type of person that you can be when you unleash peak performance every day on command.
You guys really want to think about, you want to think of productivity as you said earlier, as a foundation for your success, because you can have all the goals you want, you can have all the visions you want, you can have all the dreams you want. And there's so many people watching this who, I love the fact that you're a part of the community. And my desire for this community is for it to be people taking massive action, people going out there and creating epic shit. And if you're not someone who's productive, then you're just living in this life where you have all these dreams and visions and you have all this potential, and that's fucking awesome. But if you can't execute on it, it doesn't matter. And so productivity is the foundation of that.
We know there's no easy answer, but what we try to do with our training is make it about as easy as it can get. So, to take a real path to getting your life back, then sort of, here's what you can expect if you really want to take that path to getting your life back and getting on top of your productivity. So if you want to master the techniques, technologies, techniques, and truth, right? Sorry, I think I said that wrong. Tactics, technologies, techniques, and truth. If you want to master the 4 T's and really win the unfair fight, if you really want to see what double, triple, or even 10x productivity can look like in 60 days, if you want to start enjoying work every day instead of dreading it, if you want to put an end to feeling of being overwhelmed and anxious, really start enjoying your life again, then that's the kind of program that we do. We really want to take people and show them a system, a recipe that we know actually works. So that's Lifehack Bootcamp.
Okay, awesome. And for everyone watching this, there's a link that you can click and you can learn all about the bootcamp. You can learn more. And I haven't even told Demir this yet, but for anyone who signs up for the bootcamp, I'm also going to be giving you a personal one-on-one call. And so we'll have all those details of that. But for me, one of the biggest reasons why I'm bringing in people who are able to help with these different areas is because I can't be the master of everything. If you want help quitting gaming, I got you. I know I can be the best at that, but there's all these other areas of your life, dating, productivity, health, business, that you may be interested in. And there's different people who are interested in different things. But if you're interested in these different areas, like mastering your productivity, go work with Demir. I can't help you with that. I can give you some ideas, but right now I have over 50 open tabs on my browser, and I'm not even kidding. Yesterday, over Easter, I worked like 11 hours. Was I maximum productive? Not really, right? So I have huge room for improvement in these ways. There's been times where, Demir's wife, Carrie, has had to follow up with me and be like, hey, yo, are we doing this? And for me, it's like, I'm thankful for that because she's on the ball. And I also recognize like, fuck, like sometimes I'm not on the ball. And so there's huge room for improvement even for me. But if you're someone who's looking to be more productive, then take this, right? Take it, run with it. If you can't afford it, we can talk about that. Use a priority list and execute on it. Use a priority list to make more money, to then be able to join a program like this or any other program you might be interested in. But if you are someone who's
clear, Cam, we don't own the solution, right? We have a solution, but I did this on my own. There was no program for me. So clearly it's possible, right? And in fact, we're committed to making it for people who just cannot afford something like this. Then we don't want them to hit some kind of wall and stop. So that's why we give out the priority list. That's why if you go to our website, www.lifehackbootcamp.com, we give out other free resources. And we're always trying to give of ourselves and give and give and give because we know what we can do. But we don't want anybody to stop. Everybody gets to go forward. Everybody gets to push their life forward in some small way, because when we're more productive, we can realize our vision and create the life that we want to live.
Right. Exactly. And for people watching this, if you've been through the 90-day detox, you understand the power of focused effort for that amount of time. So just imagine that amount of focused effort across 60 days this time around productivity and how that could transform your life. Because the fact that I've been able to build Game Quarters to where it is because of my ability to be productive, prioritize things, and actually get shit done. And so if you're in your life right now realizing that you have these goals and dreams and visions and these desires, but yet you're not executing on it, then this is something that can be perfect for you. And, for anyone who signs up again, you'll get a call with me. So I'm really excited about that.
Wow.
There's a link.
Thank you for doing that. That's amazing.
The truth is, dude, that for me, I love being able to support people who take action and invest in themselves, because people won't really see it, but the amount of money I have personally invested in becoming the person I am today is over almost six figures. Very close. I had $80,000 in savings at one point, and I spent all of that on books and seminars and traveling to meet people and all of that stuff, right? And so I'm a big believer in investing in your own success. I'm a big believer in investing in yourself. And I know that for you guys have, money back guarantee and things like that. Can you speak to that for a minute?
Yeah. So, I mean, this isn't a cheap experience. I mean, 60 days, 16 live calls, a productivity buddy every single day who calls you twice a day. I mean, we are an intensive experience. So for people who are looking for a light touch experience, we're not it. Even though it's 30 minutes a day, it's high touch. It's intense. Like, this is the thing, other than your work and your core responsibilities, this is what you're doing, because we're doing 10 years of productivity work and transformation in 8 weeks. And because it's intensive, it's obviously not cheap. And so because it's a big investment, what we do is we give people 100% money back guarantee, because the number one thing that keeps you from investing in something like this. Now, again, there's going to be people listening to this call who are like, this is not for me. And I support you 100%. Like, for those people who are like, this is not for me, great, fantastic. Take a priority list, go get the free stuff on our website, go nail it out by yourself. And then there's people who are like, this is absolutely for me. And for those people, fantastic, we're going to take care of you. But I think it's really for the people who are stuck in the middle, who are like, oh, I really want to do this. I know this is what I need, but is this guy going to rip me off? And, am I going to feel like an idiot after this? Or like I need to answer my girlfriend or wife or whatever. And so the money back guarantee is for those people. So they can take that massive imperfect action and know that there's no such thing as perfect action in life. You just have to take action. And so what we do is we move the risk from you to us, because we can handle that risk. And so, if you in the boot camp and you feel like for whatever reason, really, you don't even need to give a reason, that you just didn't get what you wanted, or it wasn't as advertised, or you didn't like what it was, then you get to enjoy all of the boot camp and just get all of your money back. And I know that leaves us open to somebody ripping us off, and I'm okay with that. I can
Definitely
handle
happened
that
to me.
risk.
It's
Yeah,
definitely, and that's fine.
I'm totally okay with it. There's going to be one or two people in life that are just going to be like, yeah, I'm going to take the whole thing and then drop out at the end. And cool, fine. I'll let that person take their karma, because for every one person that takes advantage of me, there's 10 people that I get to help that come out and just say, oh my God, Demir, this transformed my life. This was the secret sauce that I needed. I needed to be able to get on top and get on offense in my life. There's so many people who are listening to this who are stuck in defense, stuck in response, stuck in victim mode. And they need that catalyst to be able to start imposing their will on life and get back in the driver's seat and get back on offense. And that's what we do. And so that's why I'm so excited to bring this work to people. And if you're one of those people who really is interested in that, we'd love to work with you.
Is there any stories that you can share of someone who's kind of been through the program that you think really speaks to this audience?
Wow. I mean, there's two stories actually in particular that I've been thinking about. One is a gamer who came through and just became one of our rock stars. And I haven't had enough gamers to say, I haven't had 1,000 gamers to say, okay, gamers perform like this in the boot camp. But if this guy's any basis, then gamers are really well suited, because I think the reason I think it was great was, one, he'd hit bottom. He'd had a moment where he's like, no, F this. I don't even know if I should say the F word, but I'll make it PG-13. He said, F this. I do not want to live like this. Like, this is not going to be how it goes down. So he'd hit bottom. But also when he came in, the truth is that gamers are very keen to, okay, this is how it's set up. This is how I win. Here's the rules. Here's the tools. Let me use the tools to win the game. And that's how we set it up in Lifehack Bootcamp. It's sort of like we make it a game. We give you your tools. We give you your instruction. And so if his success was in the indication, I mean, he started early, went through the entire materials of the bootcamp before the bootcamp even started. He watched every single video, did every single homework assignment, then went back to the beginning, started again with the team, became the absolute leader of that team. Everybody admired him. Everybody was looking up to him. And before the end of that, had created the results he created for himself was he went from having no job, he was a contractor, he had no clients, to getting his first $100,000 client who he had a guaranteed contract with. And that was just in the 8 weeks of the boot camp. It was absolutely incredible. And what's funny is, he's only been on the boot camp, I think, for about 4 weeks now. And he just keeps posting stuff that he's doing. Okay, knock this down, knock this down, knock this down. And so what I find is that when people know how to game the system, right, and they know how to play the game, and you give them a new game to play, I'm really optimistic that a lot of people will say, I'm into this new game. Because what people really want is they want to understand, like, Demir, break it down for me. Okay, I was playing this game and I was good at it, but it wasn't healthy for me. Now I want to move over to this game called life, and I want to understand the rules of that game and the tools of that game. And that's what we do. We break it down. And so I think for a lot of linear thinkers out there, these gamers out here, I think they just want to understand the rules and the tools, and I think they'll crush it. And one more story. This actually is near and dear to my house. Near and dear to my heart. We had a housewife who got a divorce. Her husband left her with their kid. And right when her husband left her, because of the divorce and the drama, she almost got fired from her job. And she had her boss take her to the side and say, if you can't improve, then we're going to 86 you. And in desperation, she took Lifehack Bootcamp. She didn't know what to do. She's like, I cannot lose this job. I have a kid. Like, this is my lifeline. I've got to keep this job. And so she told her boss, don't fire me. Let me take this thing called Lifehack Bootcamp, and let's check back in 8 weeks and see if I've made improvement. In the check back, that boss was just, I have the letter. The boss was just effusive. I've never seen this kind of transformation. You absolutely, you know how to prioritize. You're getting better work done. You're working faster. I can rely on you. I love what I'm seeing. 4 months from that, her first promotion. Sorry, 2 months from that, her first promotion. 4 months from that, her second promotion. 8 months away from that, she was applying for a position that was 4 levels above her previous position, and she didn't get it. But she was a serious contender. Like, think about it. She was an employee, then she got manager, then she got supervisor, then she got director, and she was 8 months from that applying for a position that was, and was a serious contender for a position that was 4 levels above her previous level. Wow. And that's the kind of rapid, dramatic transformation that can happen when you learn the rules and the tools.
That's amazing. So if you guys are interested, click the link and it'll take you to a page where you can learn some more. You can sign up. You can ask more questions, whatever it is. And again, if anyone signs up, you get a personal call with me, and I'm really stoked to be able to connect with you. We can talk more about vision. We can talk more about things that you struggle with, we can just hang out and talk. Whatever you want, you get a call with me. And I only bring on people who I trust and people who I know deliver incredible results, because I have such an immense amount of love for this community. And I see it as a huge responsibility for me to make sure that I'm guiding you guys in the right direction. So Demir and his wife and Lifehack Bootcamp is something I truly believe in. So if you're interested, definitely go out, go check it out, sign up. I'd love to hop on a call with you after. And if it's not something that you're able to do, that's cool. Grab the priority list, click that link, download that, and start applying it to your life. And I know that from the information that has been shared here today, you're going to be able to increase your productivity, get more shit done, and live an epic life. And that's what we're all about. So Demir, just really happy for you to be able to come and share, and thankful for that. And any last
Thank you
words?
guys. You know, I'll just say a couple things. If you can't work with us, hit our website and grab all the free stuff you can from our website. You know, pick us dry. I don't care. Like, that's why it's there. Do it. This is a winnable game. This game is completely winnable. And in fact, I would say that 99% of people out there, they work terrible. They don't know the rules. They don't know the tools. They don't have the 4Ts. They're even the people you think are successful right now. And if you actually learn the rules and the tools, in 12 months, you'll look at them and be like, they're pathetic the way they work. They don't get anything done. They're wasting all their time, right? And so I would just say, whether it's with us or whether it's by yourself, get out there, learn how to win this unfair fight. I do it every single day with my clients, so there's no way you can tell me it's not possible. There is a way. You got to learn the rules and the tools, and there is a path to winning this game.
Very well said. So that's how we'll wrap it up. Thank you for watching this. If you're here, leave a comment. Really appreciate each of you for being here, and really appreciate you, Demir, for all this.
Hey, man. Thank you, guys.